Good morning. Out on another little expedition today. Today I'm in, or rather on, Dava Moor. It's in Speyside, not too far from Granton on Spey. I parked the car about a kilometre back the way, and I'm just heading up onto the moor now. You can probably see me behind me there, an old abandoned croft. We're going to be seeing a lot of that on this walk. It's about 40 kilometres I'm looking to do. Don't worry, not today. I'm going to be spending a couple of nights out on the moor, so I'll have a wee chat about the history of the place from its sort of recorded beginnings up until when everyone moved off the moor. That's the first lot of wee crofts visited now. So that's Annabord, which was only about half a kilometre off the car. Then up to Wester Cranach. These are all in pretty, relatively decent nick. Probably would have been abandoned sometime maybe the early 19th century, something along those lines. And also Wester Cranach and Rycorach. So I'm now mooching along the track. It's pretty good track most of this walk, I think. I think it's for wind farm access. So although it does leave a bit of a scar on the landscape, it's pretty handy for getting about, you know. So I've got a tiny wee bit of off-roading to do, not much in this walk, but I'm hoping to get in something along the lines of 18k today. So I have a big day today, big day for me anyway, and a wee day tomorrow because I've got something I want to go and look for on the hill, and then a big day to finish, or see how I feel. Might take a wee extra day or night out in the hills if I'm enjoying it. So like I say, I'm on my holidays, no rush. I'm going to go and visit my sisters at some point in the week. So yeah, I'll keep cracking on and I'll come back to you in a bit. Cheers now. Okay, here's the next wee croft on the walk. This is Glengower, or Glengower, or Glendour, not too sure. Anyway, as you can see, on a pretty remote sort of landscape here. Dava Moor. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me fine. The wind's picking up a bit. Starting to make a bit of an ascent. I'm not going to any mega heights today. I think 450 metres is the highest point of the whole walk. I'll be doing that shortly. Yeah, like I say, the Dava Moor, it's had human habitation or usage for millennia. I think arrowheads and flint have been found on the moor, but the records really only started in the mid 1600s with records of rent to be paid to clan lairds from the tenants there that were using the lands for the moor for shealing in the summer months. But starting to make an ascent now, so before I get too out of breath, I'll leave you with that and I'll tell you a wee bit more later on. Cheers. Just approaching what I think the highest point of the walk today is, or the whole walk I think. Just coming into view now should be Loch and Dorb, and aye, there it is. So I don't know how much you'll be able to make out from here, but yeah, that's Loch and Dorb that you can see, body of water there, and I'm heading to the other side of that loch and over the hill that's behind it. Starting to lose a bit of height now, and the sun's come out, which is absolutely brilliant. This wasn't forecast at all today. It was supposed to be very overcast, bit of rain, but it's not threatening anything like that at the moment, and I'm happy as Larry. So, and I keep heading on. There's a bit of mile munching to do now, really, between now and getting across round the other side of the loch and up onto the hills on the other side. So I'll speak to you in a bit, maybe have a wee spot of something to eat once I get up on the hill on the other side. Okay, so here we go for the first wee bit of heather bashing of the day. Hopefully not too much more of it, because I'm not a great fan. Whoa, that's why. I just doing a wee bit of off-roading, because it can help me out distance wise. It'll chop a couple of K off. Then if I'd taken the main tracks, you know. So we'll see how we get on. It's pretty dry. I was concerned that I was going to get very wet, but it's not too boggy, so happy days. Taking a bearing and I'm basically aiming for that cairn. I don't know if you can make it out. Should be somewhere in the middle of the picture. Maybe a bit too wee in that wide angle lens, but just past that cairn I'll drop down and I'll be onto the road for the getting round the side of the loch. So I'll see you at the cairn. Hi, so I've stopped at the cairn for a wee 5-minute breather. Yeah, get the bag off my back for a wee while. Not too long, got to keep cracking on, you know, never get there. The wind's picking up a fair bit. I don't know if you're making that out on the mic. That doesn't bother me because it's keeping me nice and cool. Just got to head across the top of this this wee hill, Drumroy Crag, and down onto the road to then pick up the road to get across the other hill to where I'm aiming for to put the tent up. Probably about halfway today to where I want to be, maybe not even. So it's a long one today, but I'm enjoying it so far. Whether I'm still enjoying it when I'm putting the tent up remains to be seen, but good crack, and I shall catch up with you in a bit. Come across a set of grouse butts up here. That's inside number 9. Obviously the posh guys will be in here with their rifles picking off the grouse. Well, that was a wee bit of a mission, not too bad, but I have chopped off a good, say 2, maybe 3k, although I'm not going to lie, I made a wee mistake. I carried on too far down the track before I cut off into the heather. There we have, in the middle of your screen, Yet another abandoned wee croft. That's Drumroy, which they named after the hill I've just come down from. I'm going to follow this shiny new fence down to the road. And once I get onto the hill on the other side, I think I'm going to have to stop and have some lunch or something. So I'll catch you in a bit. And here we are, coming to the end of that lovely new fence. And we're onto the road ahead. Super duper. That's me just about down at loch level. About to join the main road. First people I've seen as well, just dead ahead, doing a wee bit of fishing. Anyway, let's get down onto this road. My least favourite surface, tarmac. Oh. Onwards. Probably starting to flag a little bit now. Don't know what we are in, probably about 15 kilometres or something like that. But, no surprise it's on the road. I'm starting to flag, don't like road walking. No surprises there. So yeah, as soon as I can get off the road and up into the hill, away from civilization, I'll stop and have some lunch. I've been on the go, left the house this morning just before 6 o'clock, probably about 6:15, and had a wee bite to eat before I left, but I've not had anything since then apart from a couple of Haribos, so it's my own fault. I'm starting to flag, I think, but like I say, the next 10, 15, 20 minutes I'll be able to stop, get a brew on, get a mug shot on the go, perchance a Snickers. Anyway, need to cheer up. Getting hungry, I think. That's the Lochlandorb Road. I don't know if you can see on the hillside far in the distance there's a wee white scar. That's where I've come from essentially. Top of that hill you can see the distance, and probably about 4 miles beyond that. And I've just got a wee bit more stretchy road to go. And I'm going up over those hills there. Bring it on. Thank goodness for that. So sick of this tarmac. It's only been like two miles or something like that, but it's been the worst bit. Anyway, I'm crunchy. View should be opening out again. Once we up this wee bit of hill. There it is. You know, it's not impressive like a big Monroe or the like, but just the vast expanse of moorland. It's impressive. Wow, that's so much better now that I've had a wee bite to eat. I sit down for 10 minutes just to get the bag off the back for a wee while and rest my weary legs. Still got a fair bit to go, but broken the back of the walk today. The end is in sight. I can actually see across the moor where I'm aiming for, but to go across the moor I think it'd be horribly boggy and just a bit too much of a yomp. But yeah, so I'm going to get back on the road and I'll speak to you a wee bit further along. Whew. well, managed to make a bit of progress. I've got that big boy there to climb up now though. It doesn't look that steep on the screen, I'm quite sure. But let me tell you, I'm not looking forward to it. Once I get to the top of there though, that's pretty much the last big uphill before I can set up the tent. Yay! Not sure how much you can see, but I need to stop saying that actually. Right, okay. So the Bleak, you can see those hills in the distance, just above that little tree in the foreground. That's where I came over from the main road, and I've walked all the way along there. The darker hills you can see, all the way along there, all the way along there, and down to here. And I've got maybe half a mile left. My feet are killing me. Really nearly there now. Although I've still got to get water when I get there. The burn's a bit further away than I thought it was going to be, so I'll dump the bag and go get some water when I land. Probably about 500 metres to go. I probably bit off more than I could chew today. Well, not really, because I've done it, but I've not enjoyed the last couple of miles. I'll level with you. Legs are giving me a bit of jip, but because I've come so far today, it means I can have a proper short day tomorrow. So I'm going to put the tent more or less half the walk done in sort of like the first day, so I've got another 2 days to do the rest of it, so chuffed to bits for that. Anyway, see you at the croft. And there we have it, that's Bad Nonan. Bad Nonan. Home for the night. My Airbnb, although I see there's a few people waiting to get in themselves. A few dudes here already. There we have it. Bad Nonan. Made it in plenty of time. Nice flat pitch here. River's just down there, about 300 yards. Super duper. Delighted. Shattered.
See the black and you, just as looking outside. See the black and you, all is gonna outside.
Oh, delighted. That's the tent up before any rain or that's likely to come. Still got to fill it up with sleeping bags and whatnot, but yeah, absolutely delighted. In the Nature Hike Nebula. Probably have a wee bit of dinner in a minute. Not sure how much more filming I'm going to be doing tonight because I'm cream crackered. Like, there's been a few people who have asked me, well, 2 or 3. they want more tent chat. Like, well, I'll try. I don't know why that's so interesting, but yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more about Dava Moor once I get settled in for some tent chat. Yeah. Good morning all. That's 20 to 8 now. I've been awake since about 6 o'clock. It's been pretty heavy rain and high winds overnight, but the tent stood up to the job, no bother at all. Didn't keep me awake either. I think I was pretty knackered after yesterday's exploits, but I'll give you a wee tour around the tent now. You can have a wee look and see.
Right, so there's one vestibule, the door's shut there at the moment. That's where I'm getting in and out. There's the bottom of the tent, the sleeping, still my bag as you can see. Various bags at the bottom there, that's for my sort of drone and bags for sleeping bag and whatnot. Up here I've got the wee light and the radio hooked onto the hook, I suppose. And there's the other vestibule. I've just had a coffee and a wee bite to eat this morning. And there's the sort of sleeping end. Got my water, my electrics bag, Trichology pillow, and the reflective mat, and the inflatable mat underneath that.
NASA says the launch of its new Artemis moon rocket is likely to be delayed by several weeks after abandoning the second attempt in Florida yesterday.
I've managed to get myself out of the tent. It's dried off a wee bitty. Doesn't seem to be too much rain or that kicking about at the moment, so take advantage of the weather just now. Tell you a wee bit about Dava Moor and what went on. So, as I mentioned before, it started out just people coming up in the summer months when the weather was better to sheilings, which were like temporary dwellings where they would bring all the cows up in the summertime for summer grazing, take advantage of some of the lush greenery that was on the moor. Obviously no use in the winter because the place is full of snow, etc. Very harsh winters. You can kind of see here at Badnonan how they set up. It's sort of, the house is surrounded by lush green grass, and how that happened was obviously for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years they were taking their cows up in the summer for grazing, but obviously at night they would put them into the fold, and so the cows were pretty much always in the same sort of spot. Now obviously what the cows do, they poop, so the manure was therefore fertilising the ground, and eventually, because they had a lot of this lush green ground, they would cultivate it, so plant grain, plant stuff for grain, so oats and barley, not a great deal, but they would have enough to keep themselves, you know, over the winter. Just as I was about to start breaking down the tent, the heavens opened, so I'm having another 10, 20 minutes, whatever it is, until this passes, till I pack the bag and hit the road. Aye, so that's everything packed up now, about to hit the road. The rain came back on just as I was packing the stuff up, so everything's a little bit damp, but that's okay. Got everything in dry bags and whatnot, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. What's the time now? It's 11 o'clock, so I've had a pretty chilled out morning. Heading further across the moor. So as you can see, no traces left. Got the pack cover on there because it's probably going to be pissing down again in a moment. Just a wee bit of flat grass. And I'm heading over in that direction. In the centre of the screen in the distance there you can see Knockdo Croft, which I just walked past, and the watercourse you can see winding its way through there is the Bleak burn, which I'm going to be following for the next couple of miles or so, crossing a couple of times. Should be okay. Doesn't look to be an awful lot of water in it. It's not running too fast. But it's a beautiful stretch of the walk, this. Completely different from what I had yesterday, but it was pretty barren and exposed. Coming into a nice wee pine wood here. A complete change of scene from what I've had. Wasn't a tree to be seen yesterday. Absolutely beautiful. Quite funny actually. Really enjoying this walk today. I mean, yesterday was good. The second half not so good, but I mean it was lovely, but I was suffering. I think that's partly my own fault because I didn't have enough to eat or drink along the way, and when it came to it I was flagging near the end, you know. Also the pack's heavy. Started off at about 17 kilos, so quite a bit to be hauling. Quite a bit to be hauling about over hills. Like I say, even though it's absolutely pouring with rain just now, persistently, I'm enjoying this far more than I did yesterday. Good crack. Anyway, onwards. Suppose I should do a wee update on the old shoe chat, seeing as we're here. They've pretty much done exactly what I wanted of them. They're nice and lightweight. They're not even slightly waterproof. They take on water and your feet get soaked pretty much straight away, but what they also do in return is they shed the water brilliantly, so you're not walking around with waterlogged boots or shoes for ages and ages and ages, which is heavy on the legs and just all manners of nastiness. But one thing I was worried about them was, you know, getting them wet and dry, is would they hold together? Well, I've been on a few wee walks with them and they're still holding their integrity so far. They've lost a bit of that neon blue colour, which I'm not too fed up about. But yeah, all in all, so far so good. There'll be another shoe update or shoe chat at a later juncture. So it appears I'm driving sheep at the moment. Talk about an immersive experience on the moor. If they just wait for me to go past. Must be what, 40, 50 sheep here. I think I can see an off-road vehicle up ahead. I wonder if there's a farmer about. Hope he's not. Hope I'm not driving them the wrong way for him. Anyway, let's keep going. Hey fella. Aye, that's a crack. Looks like there's pretty impressive cliffs in a gorge down there. I'm hearing a waterfall of some sort. It's too wet to be going down those banks exploring there today though. I'm heading up that way. Another wee change of plan. Essentially where I was going to stay tonight, it's all closed off due to wind farm work, the road, so I've had to battle on. So today's going to be a wee bit longer than I thought it was going to be, and I also don't know where I'm going to camp, but that's quite cool because I'm now going to have to try and find somewhere. Surely to goodness I can do that. But anyway, back on the road. See how we get on. Let's pitch in a bit. Well, there we go, sun's out now. Yeah, as I said, back on the road, mile munching, but it's not too much of a problem other than I'm now eating into tomorrow's walk. So if I go too far, it'll be very, very short walk tomorrow. So I'm going to try and find somewhere to camp, fairly sharpish. Sorted. Got a nice wee pitch here. Not too far from the road, in fact very close to the road, don't know if you can see it there. Left myself with about 10k walk tomorrow, which is enough. There's a nice view of Dava Moor. Anyway, delighted to get the tent up. What time are we on now? 4:30, so it's a bit of a longer day than I was expecting. A bit of a shame I couldn't show you what I was wanting to show you today, but it's maybe one for a future video.
Thank you, Neil. It's a wet night ahead for many areas of the UK as showers or longer spells of rain push into southwest England, Wales, and then move northwards through central, eastern and northern England, through Northern Ireland, and then eventually into Scotland. Some of that rain could be heavy and thundery.
Morning folks, that's me up and just about to get everything packed away. Good night's sleep again, absolutely brilliant. What's the time now? It's 7:30. I've already had some breakfast. I had some chorizo and some porridge, not together obviously, and I'm just enjoying a brew just now. So once I get packed up, I'll hit the road again, and I've probably got about another 10k or so, I think I said, to do today, which should be a bit of a scoosh, he says. It's spitting with rain at the moment. I don't think it's going to come to much, but that's what I thought yesterday. I was like a drowned rat. But no, all good, all good. So I'll catch up with you when I'm packed up and about to hit the road.
Well, that's me heading off back on the road again. Perfectly timed because that's the rain back on. As you can see, that's where I was camping. No traces been left, just a wee bit of flat grass. So let's crack on and we'll see how we get on. Should be about 4 hours back to the car, something along those lines, with stopping and doing a wee bit of filming and whatnot. But yeah, see a wee bit further along. Back to the story of the folk in the farming on the Dava Moor. I think I last said that they'd started cultivating the land on their crofts. And then they thought, you know, why not do a wee bit more of this? The farmers thought. So they cultivated a bit more, and they started, you know, growing enough grain and stuff to be able to sell a little bit and to overwinter the cattle and feed themselves a bit more. So the estate obviously noticed this, and one of the heads of the estate, he might even have been the head of the estate, I think it was a guy called James Grant. You're talking, I think, in the 1700s now. He was a well-educated man, different sort of guy than the sort of clan lairds preceding him. You know, he'd been schooled in Westminster down London way, so he was, you know, part of the Enlightenment at that time, as it was called. You know, new ideas, new thoughts, new ways of working. And of course he's palling about with all these dudes in Westminster that are from, you know, sort of like the grain and sort of producing places in England, and they were making lots of money off this, you know, and he was making not too much money to support his lavish dandy lifestyle down in London off the black cows, you know. So he goes back and he obviously takes advantage of what the farmers have been doing, and sort of legislates into their tenancy agreements that they've got to, over the next sort of 10 years or so, cultivate so much land and grow so much grain. And you know, he drew boundaries, and boundaries weren't really a thing back then, you know. When the Dava first sort of came into existence, it was sort of word of mouth, you know, the demarcations of what land you've got. It was sort of like, well, I own it from that rock to that crag to that burn, you know. But yeah, like I say, he sort of forced this growing of grain and whatnot, turn more backs onto the tenants. And of course the story on that is, you know, at the time, ironically, the price of a black cow had absolutely skyrocketed, and they moved away from that. They wanted to go into the sort of arable side of things. So of course, knowing what we know now, trying to do that sort of thing on a barren moor isn't the best of ideas, you know. Obviously there is some fertile bits where the cattle had been, but not enough. He was wanting to, you know, over that 10 years, get the guys to cultivate the land, plough it, you know. Of course everything went against them, from bad weather to, you know, essentially Dava Moor just being heather and rocks in the main. So yeah, it was off to a bad idea, but I'll tell you a wee bit more a bit further on. So I've just climbed up a wee bit off that old military road, tarmac road, and I'm now on a hill path, which is actually the old military road that I'm on now. That road I was on just before there was a more modern thing, but yeah, I'll be on this for about a mile or so. Oh, bloody hell, another gate. Oh no, there's no fence though, that's good. Yeah, so about half a mile or so on this. Oh, there is a bloody fence. Oh well, climbing another gate, guys. Oh no, I can open this one. Right, so so a wee bit further on this, and then I've got about 2 or 3 miles. Oh look, nice spider. So I've got yeah, about half a mile or so on this road here, and then onto the main 939 for a couple of miles. So, am I going up here? I think I am. So, see what we got on. I'll have a chat to you again on the road. Yeah, I'm still on this, what's marked on the map as an old military road, but as you can see, it's not only got spiders guarding it, but pretty impenetrable gorse. So, don't know if this is bringing back any memories, Alistair, but I'm not gonna jag my balls off going through all this. I want to go off piste a little bit, so onto the heather down there. It's not my favourite way of walking, so I'm backtracking a bit here. Yeah. Gonna take the moorland route. Hi, so there's the moorland I've been walking on. I'm just over this other old barbed wire fence here. That's the old military road. As you can see, it's not very well used. So but it's clearer than the moorland I'm walking on now, but this barbed wire fence is a bit of a bugger to cross, so I'm going to see if there's a gap in the fence or an easier bit to cross back onto the military road a wee bit further down, but who knows, it might be overgrown with gorse further down as well, so play it by ear, see how we get on. Believe it or not, this is marked on the map as a road. Cracking. It's actually not bad going, to be fair. I could have gone on the tarmac road and done it in half the time, but oh, I don't like walking on that stuff. Nicer view from up here as well. A bit more peace and quiet. Not too far to come off the old military road now. Anyway, I was saying there was no demarcation of Sheelings Croft on the Dava. That often led to a lot of trouble. You got to remember, these times were in the times of the well, troubled times. Lots of rebellion and unrest in the 1700s in the north of Scotland. Well, all over Scotland, really. There's a famous story of one of the farmers McQueen, I think his name was. I think there's McQueen still farming in this area, but oh, more gorse. Anyway, he met up with another tenant. They'd been arguing about, whoa, they'd been arguing about whose land was whose and who could graze their cattle where, and you know, that type of thing. But they decided to meet up in the pub to discuss their differences and come to some sort of agreement, and they went for a few drams at the pub at Dava, where I think the old school building is now, there or thereabouts, and it seemed to all witnesses that please accept my apologies about that. My SD card ran out, and now it's hoorah boggy underfoot, so I'm having to take my time. Anyway, so as I was saying, these two guys, I think they were called Patrick Nairn and McQueen, I think it was John McQueen, who had been arguing and whatnot, and went to the pub at Dava to make amends and come up with some sort of plan where they could work alongside each other without the arguments. But anyway, all accounts, they sorted everything out and left and went their separate ways or whatever. But the next morning, I think one of the servants at the pub went out to get some firewood or peat or something like that, and found McQueen's dead body, battered to death, outside the pub in a turf pile, you know. So just shows you there was dark times back then as well, you know, battered to death over grazing rights. But yeah, it was troubled times, I think, even in when they were shieling the stuff. Cameron of Lochiel came over with a band of men and tried to rob the Grant's cattle, and I think they did do a cattle raid, and only got part of the way back across to Lochaber, and they were chased down by the Grants, who slaughtered them. And I think the Cameron of Lochiel had to write a grovelling apology. Oh gee whiz, big bug. Oh, grovelling apology to the Grants after that. Anyway, I'm going to sign off just now because it's pretty treacherous underfoot, and I'm nearly at the road, so I'll speak to you shortly. That's me off the hill now. Randomly I've come off the hill at some sort of storage yard for gravel or MOT or whatever it is, and this is where I'm about to join the main road, A939. And that hill there is where I've come from. Back on the dreaded tarmac again. I've got a couple of miles of this before I get onto a walking trail called the Dava Way.
Some being operated by tour operators.
Well, that's the last of the hard tarmac bit, nearly over with. Be joining the Dava Way shortly, which is a sort of existing walking route from Forres to Granton and Spey, I think. So looking forward to getting on that, and that's pretty much straight walk straight back to the car. I think there's about, I don't know, 5k, something like that left. This is where I leave the road onto the Dava way. That signpost down there says welcome to Moray. Malt whisky country it says on the sign. Well, the county I'll be leaving is Speyside, which is not at all known for its whisky. Anyway, onwards. So as I was saying about the Dava history, we talked about it originally being used for sheelings for grazing cattle in the summer months, then later on making a bit of an industry out of that by taking cows from Moray and the likes to summer graze their cattle. Then they moved on to producing a wee bit of arable land, getting grain from that for their own use. And the estate taking advantage of that and making them do more and more of this arable land to the detriment of their shealing way of life. And it became a bit of a hardship for them because, yeah, they were given these big areas to cultivate, but also their rents were increased, and the troubles that came along with that during those times. I think it was in the mid to late 1700s that sort of the arable stuff was put into writing in their tenancy agreements, so that, you know, they had to produce so much or cultivate so much land for crops. Wee gate coming up here. But unfortunately, towards the, there you go, Dava. Oh, there you are. There's some pretty bad weather events in the very end of the 1700s. It's cold winters, which is detrimental obviously to the production of the grain and whatnot. And they weren't able to meet their rents. So obviously the estate wasn't making money off that, and the end of the 1700s into the beginning of the 1800s there was mass evictions from the crofts on Dava. You know, a lot of people moved elsewhere, emigrated. You've seen a lot of that throughout the whole of the Highlands during the times of the clearances. You know, Sutherland, for example, they cleared a lot of the crofters out for pretty much the same reason as it was more profitable to have sheep farming on the area than crofters eking out an existence. You know, horrible times. But certainly on Dava there was quite a few crofters left, you know, into the 1800s, because the estate had the problem that the estate had the problem that you know, if they evicted some of the farmers, then, you know, no one was willing to take their place, so they had to leave them in place. Lots and lots and lots of juniper along here. Oh, grab that and smell it. It's fair put you in the mood for a bit of gin and tonic. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop for a wee drink and take this bag off for a while. We're pretty much on the home straight now. Happy days. So in the early to mid 1800s you've got hundreds of people abandoning their crofts and leaving Dava Moor pretty much what it looks like today, with just a couple of big farms and lots of abandoned wee crofts. Obviously there were still people living on the moor, enough that they built a school in the 1800s, sort of early 1800s I think it was. The building is still there today. I think it's a private house now though, but like I say, the kids, when they could get off the moor, quite often in the winter they were missing a lot of school, I should imagine, for the snow, the amount of snow that's known to land up here. I think the teacher had in her notes that she kept, her diary or whatever it was, school records, but you know, sometimes for 4 or 5 months of the year some of the kids couldn't attend because they were snowed in. Yeah, that's what did for the best laid plans of the grants and whatnot to turn Dava Moor into some kind of grain basket of the Highlands, but that was never going to work. But yeah, so the school coming to Dava was fantastic for, you know, all intents and purposes, giving the kids an education, but there was a downside. Well, depending on which way you look at it, but certainly in a way there was a downside, because the education was entirely in English. Now obviously English was encouraged to be spoken, especially after Culloden about 20, 30, 40 years previously, whenever it was. And they say Culloden pretty much was the end of the clan system and the end of Gaelic speaking, or the beginning of the end of Gaelic speaking in the north. But supposedly the Education Act was what really killed off the majority of people in this area speaking Gaelic. That was this area, the whole of the Highlands. So you've got Dava Moor, where everybody spoke Gaelic initially. So you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people speaking Gaelic on Dava Moor to 0 people today. I just about pooped my pants when I seen this fellow through the trees. Oh my lord. But is that necessarily a bad thing that everyone was learning English and English was being made to be spoken? Because, you know, that's the capitalist behemoth, you know, both sides of the Atlantic, English speaking, that's the way of the world, and it let people, you know, see the bigger picture and go on to bigger and better things. But at the end of the day, it's still very sad to see a culture being diminished like that, you know. I think the only thing I can equate it to, if you imagine you know, say UK had a bit of a disagreement with China, and you know, China with its wealth and dominance of the world took over, and we were all made to all of a sudden start speaking Mandarin in schools, and slowly our culture was overtaken. That's the only thing I can equate it to in modern times, but that's never going to happen, is it? Anyway, onwards. That's me coming to the end of the walk, the Dava Loop as I've called it. I'll share the route on OS Maps publicly, so if anyone wants to follow it they can. Really enjoyed it. First day was hard going, well the second half of the first day was hard going. As I said, that was probably my own fault for not stopping enough, not taking on enough liquids, not even having lunch. Yeah, it was hard going. Second day, really enjoyed that. Bit gutted that I couldn't go to where I wanted to camp, because there was something I wanted to show you, but we'll leave that for another day. I got pitched somewhere fine, no bother in the end. And today's just been marvellous. At the end of that first day I was worried that, you know, I wasn't going to make it or I'd be hobbling, but I seem to have got a bit stronger as each day's gone on. Now, I don't think I'd be able to do 20k days every day, but I'm certainly finishing the walk feeling quite strong, like I could go on for another few days, but like I say, it's coming to an end. And if you've watched this far, well done, because I've been rabbiting on about history. Now, I'm no historian and I'm not the best orator in the world, but hope you've picked up a little bit of the history of the place. I'll leave some links below to some proper information from some proper clued up folk who know what they're talking about. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.